Hello everyone, and welcome to Singapore FinTech Festival. We are going to have a panel discussion about securing FinTech in 5G world. My name is Amit Ranjan, and I'm the Japan ambassador for Singapore FinTech Festival. And I'll be your moderator for the panel today. We have 4 panelists with us. Please allow me to introduce them. First one is Felix Beatty. He is CISO for Paidy Inc. Second is Anand Prasad, and he is CEO for Wenovator. Third one is Koji, and he is distinguished researcher at NICT, Japanese government. And fourth is Maninder Singh from EC Council, and he is an executive director there. So, as a moderator, I would like to extend very warm welcome to all of you. Everyone, please give them a big hand. Thank you very much. So let's get straight into our panel discussion. And the topic we are going to talk about is actually very exciting and at the same time scary too. We are seeing the world is changing at a very, very fast pace due to the advancement in the technology, leading to new ways of doing transactions and business. We also see hackers enhancing their skills to steal valuable information from individuals as well as the businesses. So Anand, allow me to start with you.
Sure.
I want to make few things clear, and those are basically around 5G. So can you walk us through what exactly is 5G and what is going to happen with 5G in terms of our businesses?
Sure. So first, thank you, Amit, and thanks to the organizers for having me here. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. So let me start with 5G. I'll go with that onto the security aspects as well as you touched about the hackers. Yeah?
Sure.
So let's look at 5G. Basically, 5G is a new generation of mobile communication standards with a big difference compared to the earlier generation in terms of bringing open source technologies, bringing off-the-shelf technology, bringing common protocols. You have a very critical infrastructure using common protocols. Yeah? And not only virtualization, but cloud, which means that it brings migration. Yeah? And if you think of just these parts, and of course APIs as well, a lot of use of APIs. If you think of these parts, then it becomes a very much close to IT infrastructure. Yeah? And that's a critical infrastructure going in that direction.
Right.
At the same time, 5G is becoming more and more utilized with many people. Yeah, it's bringing slicing and private networks and things like that.
Right.
So what's happening with, if you combine all these aspects together, is that you can get more and more partnerships type of business and more penetration in society. Yeah. In terms of hackers part, you're talking about a common technology being used. So it is more easily accessible to people. Yeah. And at the same time, we know that the dark web is also well connected. So you have 5G, which is going deeper in the society with things and everything. More complex, easily accessible with all these higher data rate, low latency, and much higher capacity. And therefore, there is much more chance to attack as well. I think the security part will go ahead further. So
absolutely.
At this point.
So thanks for this, Anand. And without taking any further time, I'll ask with Koji about a couple of use cases, because I think Anand touched upon how this technology is going to penetrate into the society. So can you talk us through a couple of use cases, please?
Yes, thank you, Amit. Thank you very much, everybody. I can just provide the several use cases to be considered in 5G application. And as you may know, there are many applications currently considered, but not so implemented at this point in time. There are many characteristics, as Anand mentioned, in 5G. But for the purpose of the enhanced mobile communication. So there are, for example, virtual reality travel or such kinds of application is considered. Or all wireless is another very big topic for the maybe many types of application, including FinTech. And as for the mission critical services, there are several applications such as connected car or the kind of the remote control. I can provide the example regarding remote control later. But the last, in purpose of the massive edge device, like IoT device, so there are many applications such as home IoT or smart city or smart grid or smart school or smart station, etc. So there are many, many smart-oriented applications considered. So example, so I can provide a few examples regarding the remote control. One is the trial, the 5G demonstration to construct the remote construction by using 5G. So this was conducted by the KDDI or NEC or Obayashi Corporation, which are a Japanese company. But providing the very limited that hour to complete the construction, maybe 35% less than the normal construction time. So the second example is providing a teleexistence. Teleexistence is a kind of using a robot avatar to feel just like touching the real object but from the remote. It might be the real, not so realistic at this point in time, but the near future, 5G might be one of the very interesting application for us. And 5G, as I said before, may be a good driver for any type of application, including FinTech. And for example, the financial innovation technology can be one of the very good driver for 5G environment. So I think this is the simple introduction use case.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Koji. Now let me move on to Felix, who is joining us from a very well-known fintech company in Japan called Paidy. And for the people who know, Paidy is changing the way e-commerce is done in Japan. So Felix, I would like to know from you, how does 5G impact fintech? And how do you see business models getting changed due to 5G for the fintech companies?
Thanks, Amit. Sure. Glad to be here. Thanks, everyone. So before we begin, just want to ensure that the following are my opinions and my opinions only, nothing related to my organization. So let me begin. So first, whenever there is a change, or in this context, a new technology is being introduced or adopted, we have to think about security. And this is very important. I think Anand and Koji-san have already touched on several points here. And similar to Anand, we have improved latency, we have improved bandwidth, and that's very important too, especially as we want to offer more and more services as part of the fintech ecosystem. If you ask me, will 5G change the banking and the fintech industry? Definitely a big yes. It will change how we spend, how we save, how we empower customers, how we dream, and how we shape our future self. So for us and everyone, I think 5G is a great unified platform to launch new and revolutionary services. But like I mentioned in the beginning, we have to think about security. And therefore, as some of you know, 5G addresses some of the security concerns that we had in legacy networks. However, there are still some legacy vulnerabilities that are being carried over. Back to you, Amit.
Thank you very much for that, Felix. Allow me to move to Maninder, right? Now, thinking from the overall security and control environment perspective, Maninder, I'd like to ask you from EC Council's view, how do you see fintech facing challenges in future in the 5G era?
Right. Thank you so much, Amit. And again, thanks everyone for inviting and joining to hear us. Now, see, I mean, I'd like to begin with one of my favorite quotes. It's from Stuart Brand. Once a new technology rolls over you, if you're not part of the string roller, you're part of the road.
Right.
And I'm sure when the 5G comes in, none of the fintechs would like to be part of the road. So absolutely, we foresee, you know, all of the fintechs would be racing to, you know, deliver a lot of new services. There would be a race to provide not only the improved services, but also acquire digitally savvy customers. But you know, there is also an estimate, as per certain researchers, that there would be across the globe 1 billion plus users who would be accessing bank for the first time thanks to 5G. So with that kind of a potential, absolutely every fintech would like to adopt and see what best they can do. Now, from a security angle, when we look at it, we see that you know, this will bring in better security measures for sure. We see there will be better measures to authenticate users, to detect fraud, even, you know, detect transactions across. But then this new technology would also bring in a lot of new risks and threats, which of course we'll discuss further here. So in all, exciting times ahead.
Thank you very much, Maninder, for sharing that excitement with us. So with that, let us move to the next part of our panel discussion, which is going to focus on how fintechs are dealing with the cybersecurity. And I'd like to dig a bit deeper into how fintechs are doing this. So Felix, back to you. And can you share your perspective with us on this point?
Sure, Amit. I think Maninder covered some important points, but let me add a little bit more. So first, you probably heard that proverb before: do not run fast, do the right thing, security. And I know some companies out there are launching new services, new products to capture customers' attention, and that's all right. Simply need to ensure you built in security during your conception phase. Do not build or bolt-on security at the product launch, right? Secondly, when it comes to the 5G network, some fintechs out there are still using the legacy authentication mechanism. Sometimes they use SMS to authenticate, and there is some opportunity for improvement there. For example, authentication via a notification service. Thirdly, you have to possibly consider migration. If based on your analytics, most of your consumers are consuming your services using the 4G network, you have to consider they will ramp up eventually and start consuming your services on the 5G network. This is great, but you know, will your system support it? Will you need to migrate to more efficient systems? And therefore, migration. So if you're the CISO out there, you need to ensure 5G is in your strategy. And you need to measure what will be the impact of such, and what are the additional controls and even threat modeling that you will have to consider. You need to think ahead and embed this into your strategy. Fourth, you know, as most fintech move from the web to mobile, you have to consider the implications of relying solely on, let me repeat, legacy authentication mechanism, for example, SMS. As we have seen in the industry, smartphones can be compromised. Rootkits can be installed, which reroute SMSs from one device to another. And this type of fraud is true on all networks, even on 5G. So a malicious actor could type your phone number to authenticate to your fintech service, but the malicious actor would actually be the one receiving the SMS without even you noticing it. Back to you, Amit.
Thank you very much for that. Anand, what do you think?
Yeah, I think very important point. I mean, rootkit and remote execution and things like that happening quite a bit. I'll go into further details as we move ahead, but you know, there are many authentication options that 5G is bringing. Yeah. And you also have private network or slicing possibilities, and therefore you have additional security coming in. But couple of points I always say, migration, correctly put, extremely important, security from that point. Never forget the baseline security. Yeah, so all the hardening and stuff like that. And always take care of IAM and PAM, so identity access management, privilege access management. Yeah, so, and of course, this all brings the holistic security aspect. take
Right.
the GRC also in consideration. There's a
yeah.
governance risk compliance.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm hearing from both of you is do the right thing, all right? So let's move forward with our discussion, and I think the next point of our discussion will be around 5G connectivity driving the businesses. So I mean, let's try to get into the technicalities behind this, and as we all understand, 5G is going to help us drive businesses, and the businesses are going to evolve. At the same time, companies are going to prepare for their security posture. So, I mean, this is a question to Anand and Koji. Koji, I'd like to start with you.
Okay.
So, two questions. How can we connect 5G opportunities with FinTech? And are we really ready to embrace 5G given the risk or the challenges we see as part of our discussion? Would you share your thoughts, please?
Thank you, Amit. I think I try to provide some technical touch point regarding the 5G security. But maybe my point is not so directly related to FinTech. But the most important thing is technology regarding the cybersecurity in 5G. Maybe the basis for considering the application, new type of application such as FinTech. Such a kind of contact connection to FinTech can be provided by Anand later, I think. I think as for the 5G, basically 5G provide the enhanced more wireless communication that are under a very, very new paradigm of the network configuration, including virtualization or cloud computing technology. And as you may know, the 5G will produce many use cases of application, but such a kind of application may face the new type of threat or cyber attack, which we have not yet met. So that is to say, the 5G infrastructure or system, basic system, should be collectively protected. So because we are considering a new type of threat, such as emerging or sophisticated and complicated attack is maybe appeared in the near future, and we need to prepare such kinds of the attack behavior. So it's I can provide some of the several angles how to develop the cybersecurity technology or solution for 5G. The first one is we need to provide the kind of built-in security function in 5G components such as core network or the LAN video access network or the MAC, etc. And the second one is the 5G infrastructure is getting very flexible and adaptable. So that is to say, so we need to provide a security function somehow in the way of the flexible or adaptably to implement the security. The third one is trying to provide the security measures with the technology regarding automation. And as you may know, the 5G infrastructure will maybe very, very soon available in all the user application. But the application or security control should be not so somehow without any consideration regarding automation. So for example, AI or kind of machine learning or artificial intelligence technology can be one of the core function. I'm sorry, AI is a very buzzword, but I don't like to use the AI, but the AI might be one of the key element in 5G application. Mm-hmm. And I will try to provide some of the I think good trial by MIC, which is a Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communication in Japan. And MIC just launched the new project that is 5G evaluation project. So that is firstly that project provide the test bed or contract test bed. Test bed consists of several components, which is 5G core network, or the radio access network, or the MEC, multi-access edge computing, so-called the mobile edge computing, and also including some of the edge device system, like 5G user component. So based on such a kinds of test bed, so we are evaluating the 5G infrastructure or system to whether they will consider or they contains the vulnerability or weakness or security concern by using the scenario-based the evaluation mechanism, or maybe you may know the fuzzy checking. So to try to check one by one, maybe based on the existing fuzzy checking mechanism. So I think such a kinds of the activity is finally connecting to produce the 5G security guideline. So produced by basically issued by MIC near future. And I myself are now providing such a kind of guideline together. But the guideline will contain the threat landscape regarding a core network or radio access network or MEC, or including virtualization infrastructure or slicing management, etc. And based on such a kinds of risk or threat assessment, we can conduct this security control. So providing a common control, but the more specific control regarding the core network or virtualization, slicing technology, etc. So I hope this kinds of the activity may help to support the new type of application, 5G applications such as FinTech near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Anand, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, very good points presented here by Nakao-san, or here calling Koji. Yeah. So for me, when I talk about 5G, I always say that 5G is a new platform bringing a secure and safer society. Yeah? And at the same time, it brings a huge number of transactions. That's where we are talking about FinTech. I mean, I think my other panelists are much deeper in FinTech. But let me still take a few points over here. A couple of points here. So, I mean, you can just run wild. If you're talking about all these data rates and all these kind of variation of latency and stuff like that, you can just run wild on what you can do with FinTech. Right. But if you just talk about transactions in the network, for example, you have modularity. Yeah, that means you can keep on changing what is in there. Right. Yeah, that means there is a financial transaction happening there. The next thing, you have all these CPU and stuff like that in the cloud, be it your own cloud, private or public cloud. And in the edge, you're getting in so much of cloud kind of solutions. You again have many transactions going on, and again chances for FinTech. I'm taking this from the network perspective. In addition, you'll have the APIs on which different FinTechs can connect, and then even control the network actually. That's another thing that 5G brings. So now in addition, and I think on specific use cases, we'll go again further in our panel today. But in addition, couple of points I want to say from issues in FinTech from my perspective and how 5G helps there. One is security and privacy. So let's look at that. 5G brings as a 5G itself, and now I'm not talking about the overall cloud and stuff, 5G itself, for the first time, it's a technology that brings security from the first message that goes out. That's an amazing feat. We had huge discussion on how to do it. It brings privacy from the very beginning, and the term we use for that is sushi, actually. And of course, there's a lot of operations monitoring part, management part related to that. And we're touching on authentication. As I said, there are a variety of authentications possible, identity management and stuff possible in 5G. So there you go. You have a mobile network with a lot of security features from the beginning, and inter-networking security as well. And then privacy, as I said, is already there, which is benefit for FinTech. Yeah. The next point, regulations. Mobile communications is also highly regulated market. You'll agree with me. And if the two marry, you have benefit there. And therefore, you can bring this way regulations which are uniform throughout the globe, hopefully. The next point is 5G. When you're talking about is about technology which is more common in place, and therefore you get even the FinTechs get resources which are common out there. They can utilize them for 5G FinTech and security for that. So having touched these points, with the churn point is also there for fintech. You can manage that by giving private networks which are well controlled, or sliced networks which are controlled. Ways to do it, we can take it separately.
Right.
And last but not least, fraud and revenue assurance.
Right.
You can also have a better way to make that happen.
Right.
Yeah, and when it comes to 5G. I think we don't have time to go into details of these.
Sure.
But I'll leave it with one point that do take care of holistic security, and
right.
and I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for that. So I think coming, just quick summary, do the basic things right, and have the basic security hygiene built into your system, which is going to help you not only protect your assets, which are financial and non-financial both, but also actually give you an upper hand when it comes to the market, right? And thank you very much for that, Koji and Anand. And I see there is a lot of work that companies are supposed to do, and they need to do as the 5G era is upon us. Now, let's move forward and see what Maninder has to say. Maninder, as we just hear, most companies, especially fintech, would change the way they do the businesses, right? So what do you think? What's your perspective on this?
Absolutely. Like we discussed earlier, 5G will bring in new ways of doing business for most businesses, fintechs especially. So when we talk about the new ways of doing business, we are expecting plenty of new use cases they would implement, plenty of new ways they can do things. For example, we are expecting new machine learning and AI-based enhanced algorithms for trading that might be used to facilitate real-time decision making. Then we are also expecting a huge surge in IoT devices, right? For providing the new services, we will have startups with new applications, new wearable smartphone related stuff, apps, of course. We'll have home appliances with IoT and whatnot. So that would certainly enable, while of course there will be some positive sides, as I think my fellow panelists have been emphasizing, the new security controls that can be implemented with 5G. For example, we would have better fraud detection using IoT or biometric. We would have a next generation customer service. People would be able to track where you are, what you're doing and all. There would be seamless payments between devices. Now, you don't have to be there manually to pay. Your fridge may pay for the milk it needs. So you actually don't need to be doing all the transactions all the time. We expect, your health and your habits can be tracked, of course, if you allow, for insurers to see how much of premium you need to pay for health insurance. There are endless kind of opportunities for, one of the more interesting ones I like is on, having augmented reality, smart glasses. You go out, you just see actually you don't need to go out, you just, using VR, you are at home and you can do all your shopping and get everything sitting over there in a more realistic manner rather than the current website or mobile app based shopping. So all that is coming, but with all of that, there are some risks and challenges also that are coming in. So over here, we need to know that technology, as they say, is like fire. We can use it to cook food. We can also end up burning our house. Depends how we use it. We have, with all these IoT devices tracking everything, there is going to be a surge in privacy risks across the globe. There will be regulators that will, of course, multifold their emphasis on these kind of violations. Then, of course, with more IoT, we even today, so there are some risks which exist today, as people have been talking about, and there are controls, but they all will amplify in that era with more IoT devices, which are responsible for biggest DDoS attacks and botnet attacks today. they would, of course, only extrapolate. They would go multi times. So those are bigger risks we will be facing. Because IoT, we cannot secure that much even today. We don't have that processing power, that memory in that to have a pure secure IoT, and people really don't end up putting the compensating controls. So what you see is all that brings in new vulnerabilities, which go up. New applications, new services means new application vulnerabilities, which means even further lack of security professionals. Now, this is a huge problem the fintech industry in specific and all industries in general are facing. Where are the security professionals? I mean, what I mean by security is cybersecurity trained and experienced professionals. We are already struggling to get many of them, and then with all this, boom with application services, IoT, there will be a huge scarcity of resources, which is something people need to plan for. So again, taking the Chinese philosophy of yin and yang, both come together. The risks as well as the positives of the new technology. It really depends on us how we use it. What do you say?
Thank you very much for that, Maninder. So, Anand, what do you think? And obviously, Felix, you can share your views as well after Anand.
Yeah, I think to the point, there are a lot of security issues that can happen because of how the IoT devices and stuff are implemented, and because that will come in action even more. But network-based security can be provisioned.
Sure.
Yeah, and then you also have, for example, automation solutions coming up, and that is required, as Maninder was saying, for resource aspects.
Sure.
But if I say some of my key points here, if I may take it now.
Sure, sure, yeah, please, yeah.
Instead of later. As one of my key point, I always say is that security is a business driver.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have to keep that in mind when it comes to fintech as well. And inside that, there are a couple of points like holistic security. Yeah, and holistic security means you consider life cycle security, enterprise security, everything that comes together. Yeah, and then automation as well. You have the baseline security aspect where you take IAM, access management, PAM, privileged access management, and monitoring and everything in there. And last but not least, what I always say is that top management, the board and everyone, have to take care of security very seriously.
Right.
Not just say that security is important, and take it very seriously and work on it. Yeah. Yeah. Right resources, right budget, and stuff like that. This is a very important message, I would say, from my side.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think you touched upon something very important, which is taking security very seriously. So, I mean, I have seen companies looking at security from a cost perspective, but as you correctly said, it's a business driver. It's cost of running the business. And it's actually cost of running the business to actually support your customers as well as your business with the positives or the value that can companies derive, right?
At the same time, security is a means for creating new business. That's what I say.
Right.
It's both sides. Yeah. So you have the risk side based on which you can do the cost side, but at the same time, security is a business in itself.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So let's hear from Felix. Felix, any views on the discussion that we are having now?
Yeah, sure. So I think Maninder covered several basics here, but I like the point about, privacy, because as you enable 5G, you'll be able to collect more data than you were possibly able to collect before on the 4G network. So there's probably a lot of privacy concerns and regulations that we have to look into. But if that's all right, in the essence of time, I want to keep my points towards closure as a more bold and powerful statement for everyone to remember. Back to you, Amit.
Sure. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Felix and Anand. And I think, I have a point which I would probably like to discuss with all of you, and which is basically around what is the best way to actually structure the security team in a fintech company. I think we are touching on bits and pieces on that, right? But what do you think, Anand? I mean, do you have a specific view of looking into a fintech company as to what should be their structure and what are the kind of things they need to look into and so on? Maybe we can keep it very brief because it seems we'll run short of time.
Yeah,
so, what do you think?
I'll quickly say the keywords. From my side, it will apply very much like any company. Have a proper architecture design team for security, security assurance team, identity access management team, fraud revenue assurance team, put them under security fraud revenue
Right.
assurance as well.
Right.
And then of course you have the SOC and the other operations aspect. These couple of 7 or 8 different teams,
Sure.
you require them for your FinTech.
And obviously you need CISO B2 on the board to actually drive the security decisions.
Completely agree with that.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so with that, I think let's move forward. And although I understand we'd love to continue this discussion because there is so much to be discussed and so much to be argued about this topic. However, given the time which I have in front of me, I'd like to go to all the panelists one by one and ask them about any last key messages or key thoughts that they would like to convey and share with our audience today. Okay, so let me quickly start with Anand. What do you think?
I think I'll be repeating myself, but I'll just say one sentence here. Security is a business driver,
right?
And management, the top board and executives have to take care of it seriously and not just use the words as a fancy term.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Koji, how about you?
Yes, I think it's quite agreeable, the point raised by Anand. But I think in preparation of the solution or application against the emerging cyber attack, I think there are many discussion issues. But I think I try to capture the 2 major issues. So, 3 issues, sorry.
Sure.
The one is of course, having the good security control or implementing security control. That's that might be the must.
Sure.
However, based on the continuous risk assessment by the stakeholder or a fintech company, so it's very key point. The secondary, of course, based on the risk assessment, so the company or organization should conduct security control. But the security control should be a little bit flexible, not so fixed or using the single solution, but the combination of flexible, adaptable security solution. So I think with such a kinds of the approach, so it's very hard for the single company or organization to conduct everything. So maybe in the future, in the 5G environment, in fintech application service developer, so need to share some of the very important related information regarding cybersecurity among the member to strengthen the communication or the approach taken by the company.
Okay.
That is my message.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, Felix, why don't you go ahead? You have 1 minute.
Okay, very good. So let me close in one long sentence here under 60 seconds. So first, even before this call, we were talking with Anand, and he had said that security is the business driver. Be serious. And I'm sure we can all relate to that. Second, Maninder touched on this. You need to surround yourself with the best talent within the industry, the top tier cybersecurity talent to protect your fintech platform. For example, this is a global problem, but in Japan alone, there is a shortage of cybersecurity talent in the order of 200,000 professionals, as expressed by METI, the Japanese Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. Third, Anand touched on this, but for all the CISOs out there, please ensure you have a seat at the executive committee. Ensure you have a seat at the board of directors. You need your voice in there because most fintech out there have received zillions in investments and to pursue their dream. And you as the CISO needs to ensure they hear the risks related to the transition to 5G. And they need to add this into their risk model as they make their business decisions. And the same holds true for investors. Be curious. Ask your CISOs for a monthly snapshot. Ask all your worries during a regular or monthly call. Same for the executive committee. Do not only rely on technology voice, which may have a different agenda. And let's close on, please pull it and read the 20 payment security reports from Verizon. This is an eye-opener for all fintech out there. And if you want to continue the discussion, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. Maninder, what do you think?
Okay, 2 points. One, I think you very rightly mentioned sometimes there are businesses who consider security or look at it from a cost angle. Again, being a consultant, serving a lot of clients, sometimes when we face, my 2 cents to them has been, security for your business is like brakes for your car. You need them to work well so that you can drive fast, right? So, and then of course, coming to the topic, my crux of the matter is, we do understand and what inputs were given as well. 5G as a technology being built is going to be pretty robust and secure. But personally, I foresee it's not exactly the technology which might be the most vulnerable or weakest part. But I think how fintechs use that technology, that would drive the security challenges they face. So building security from scratch, not only for the 5G as a technology in itself, but also on all the services and applications and APIs we build over it, that is going to be the crux as per me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Maninder, and guys, thank you very much for sharing all the excitement and knowledge with us, and thank you very much to the audience for staying with us for 40 plus minutes. And we are hoping you had some learnings like we did in the session. And with that, I'd like to close the session today. Thank you very much once again. A big round of applause for our panelists.